I mean, that's the thing with virtual backgrounds is
I'm getting rid of it. I don't like it.
they unless you stay still in the same spot, and I like to move around, you know.
The technology isn't where I want it to be yet.
Nah, nah.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I mean, I'm tired. I'm a little under the weather, but I mean,
Me
I'm
too.
good, you know.
I think
I
it's going
stroke.
around.
Yeah. Had a little bit of a stroke yesterday, but other than that, I'm all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, the dub's a dub though, right?
The dub's a dub. I even though Atlanta came back to take the lead late, they left way too much time on the clock. And like I felt after Saquon made that run, like that was it. That's all she wrote, right?
You
Like
talking about you talking about New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah, you're right. Fuck the Falcons.
Yeah.
Who'd they play yesterday?
Who did who play?
The Falcons.
Atlanta played who did they play? They played at Dallas, didn't they?
No, Baltimore played Dallas.
Well, yeah, Baltimore played Dallas. Atlanta played the Chiefs and should have
Yeah.
won. The Chiefs, the referees that the Chiefs brought to the game with them did their job.
So I saw your
That
post,
pass
right?
by Cousins to Pitts, that was PI all day long.
So if we really wanted to, though, we could dissect every game, right? Like the Chiefs are under a microscope. So everybody, I mean, they're the new Patriots. So everybody wants to hate on them. But if we dissect every game, right, there are PI calls or non-PI calls in every single game that dictate the outcome, right? Like earlier in that game, I'm pretty sure it was a late hit on Kirk Cousins, right? Where the dude like hit him below the waist, lifted and tackled, right? Like that's how you tackle. And like I understand like full body weight down on a quarterback, right? Like throwing a quarterback down to the ground and having 300 pounds of man meat on top of him. It is like I understand that as a penalty, but this one was textbook, dude. Textbook. So I mean, was it PI? Absolutely. Right? I just, I think that if we were to put every game and every team under a microscope the way that we do the Chiefs, we would see the same shit. The one stat that really freaks me out though about the refs, which is where, conspiracy theory comes into play, is that Mahomes has had like 22 interceptions called back due to penalty, right? Tom Brady's had 6 in his whole career. That's crazy, dude. That's a crazy stat.
Mhm.
And is it the fact that Mahomes knows that he's going to get the call, so he's a little bit more, renegade in those situations? Like I'm going to get a PI call, right? Like one of the two is going to happen. They're not going to stop my guy, so either they're going to fuck with him or I'm going to have a hell of a play. Because Tom Brady, he didn't make calculated decisions like that often.
Right. I think that there's merit to what you're saying, but I think that the non-calls and bad calls disproportionately favor the Chiefs lately. That there, and you're right. You can point to several different situations throughout games and say, "Oh, that was a missed call. This was a missed call, whatever." But the league did say that they were going to have a higher focus on outcome determining penalties or
Yeah.
non-calls.
Yeah.
This particular call, non-call, this was this was as if in front of the judge, a guy shot somebody without gloves on, placed the gun on the guy's body in front of the judge, and took blood splatter and went like this on his face. You couldn't have more evidence to support. He didn't turn, first of all, he committed PI before he held him before the ball ever met him. He held him when Pitts made his turn, his move in the end, crossing the goal line in the end zone, he was held. Then when he turned to jump for the ball, the defender never turned. He was mid tackle while the ball was cut. Now, you also said, and I've seen this happen, some guys, they have play calls designed, just throw it in their vicinity, you'll get a call. That's not what that Cousins threw that ball where he needed to throw it.
Oh,
they were trying to catch the ball.
Pitts was
he was
open.
open until he was tackled.
I thought you were going to go with a puff. I thought you were going with a puffy analogy, right? You know, it's like somebody lathered somebody up with baby oil and just said, "Hold me," right? Like that's what I thought you were going to go with. But
we can use that one also.
You know, it's. I mean, it was definitely a hold. But what are they going to do? Are they going to?
It was a hold and PI.
Are they going to make those boots
two penalties on that play, both committed by the defense?
You know, what are they going to do though? Right? What are they going to do? You're going to be able to challenge that?
Listen, when you look at the statistics this season, Patrick Mahomes is not the Patrick Mahomes of, don't get me wrong, he's still Patrick Mahomes, right? But let's take a look real quick at passing yards. Patrick Mahomes is 10th in the league in passing yards. 10th. He is in passing touchdowns. Let's take a look at that. In passing touchdowns, he is 4th in the league behind Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, and Sam Darnold. And I'm not saying that those guys haven't earned their ranking. They absolutely have. But that's usually a spot that's reserved for Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, right? Pat Mahomes is behind two quarterbacks who you would not expect to see in the top 5, right?
Right.
And as far as passing yards, you got some pretty pedestrian folks ahead of him in that category. I'm not saying that these players who are NFL caliber quarterbacks shouldn't be listed ahead of him because obviously they qualify to be in the league as well, right? But you got Geno Smith ahead of him, Gardner Minshew ahead of him, CJ Stroud ahead. I'm not saying CJ's a bad quarterback, but did CJ even miss a game?
4th on the list.
Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts. But see, Jalen Hurts belongs there, is what I'm saying. He belongs there. I'm talking about guys who you would not expect to see there. I would dare say Brock Purdy because he's been more of a 200-yard per game type of quarterback, 250 per game. He may not even be or should not even be ahead of him. Now, part of that is the effect of not having Tyreek Hill on his team anymore, right? Part of that may be because Jason Kelce isn't performing, Travis Kelce rather, isn't performing the way that he normally does. But the other part of it, you Pat Mahomes. And some of this is engineered and some of it, listen, I don't want to play the conspiracy theory game with the refs in this league, but it's just pretty when everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody, where there's smoke, there's fire. Something is happening there, and it's just undeniable.
So I'm going to disagree respectfully, right? Like, I mean, it was there with Tom Brady and the Patriots, right? And now you look at the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes, and like, I mean, they've been in the Super Bowl 3 of the last 4 years. So logic tells you they are the target, right? And, you know, it would just ruin the game for me knowing that referees were in the pocket, right? And blind to certain calls for certain teams, right? I mean, I would really need to dissect all the data, because also I'm a data geek, right? So like, let's put every game under the microscope and start really looking at it. But back to your point about Mahomes being kind of pedestrian, right? The stat I look at for quarterback is QBR, not passer rating, not yards, not touchdowns, QBR, right? Because it encompasses everything. Team wins, right? It brings everything to the table. And Mahomes is 18th. 18th out of 32 quarterbacks. And who's ahead of him? Daniel Jones. I'm just going up from 18. Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, Sam fucking Darnold, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr. Right? Those are the ones that I would highlight. Everybody else, probably legit. Allen's number one, Purdy's up there, Jackson's up there, Hurts is up there, Rodgers is up there, Burrow's up there, Stroud, like those were all top-rated quarterbacks, top tier, right? But Mahomes is supposed to be elite, right? It's supposed to be him and Allen and Joe Burrow, right? Like those are supposed to be top-tier quarterbacks. Joe Burrow's even come back to earth, right? Like what is he? He's 10. Stafford's up there. He's 13. 18th. 18th. It's crazy. But they still win. Don't give them the ball in the last second. Just don't give them the ball. I know that firsthand. And if anybody
What are
was
some
going
of
to
the
be
other surprises that you saw this week?
we'll get into Sam Darnold, right? I think
That's still a surprise at this point. He's consistently done it 3 games in a row. I don't know that it's surprising.
Yeah.
I think like a Geno Smith, he found himself in the right fit.
4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, leading the league right now. Right now, Sam Darnold leads the league with 8 tutties and 10 yards a pass. And he's 5th overall in QBR. It's a top 5 quarterback. That's wild. Kyler Murray's a shot, right? Kyler Murray's 3rd best QBR. He's also got Marvin Harrison Jr., so, there's that.
That ain't going to last long, though.
He's got Marvin Harrison Jr., who is
not going to last long. You know that, right?
Which one? Kyler Murray keeping that up?
Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray won't stay that high that long.
He's too small.
I like the guy, but I don't know. I don't believe in Kyler Murray. I believe Sam Darnold is finally playing up to his potential. He's got the right pieces around him. He's got a coaching style that resonates well with him. And he's got a Justin Jefferson. Shit.
Yeah.
He's got I forget his tight end's name. What's his name? Starts with an H. Hodgkinson or something like that.
DJ Hawkinson.
He's got good pieces around him, and they got a decent running game that allows them to get some play action on. And he's not afraid to take shots down the field, and the coaching staff isn't afraid to call plays for him. So I don't know. I think Sam Darnold, I can give him some credit. I was really surprised that Baltimore started off 0-2. I think that they made that game way too close near the end against Dallas. I think that Dallas is a shell of their former selves defensively. They are terrible. Dallas has the worst run defense in the league right now, and they're 15th in pass defense in the league. And when you can set up the pass by having an effective running game, your chances of winning this league are pretty slim. It starts to rapidly decrease. So they're really struggling in that regard. And you know who has a top 10 run defense in this league? The Washington Commanders. They're 6th in the league in run defense. And what that does is that makes you one-dimensional because if you can't run, you got to pass, and they know how to play you now on defense. And when they know how to play you on defense and you stop them, then you give your offense more opportunities to get the ball down the field and put points on the board. And they've done well with that so far. And that shouldn't surprise us with Dan Quinn being their head coach now.
See, I can't put too much onus on rankings just yet, right? Because coming into yesterday's game, I legitimately was like, how in the fuck are we going to stop New Orleans?
Alvin Kamara.
Right? How are we going to do it? Right? It's not even Derek Carr. Derek Carr's been balling, but not like balling. Right? It's all been the run game.
They had an effective run game.
It's all been the run game. And Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis showed the fuck up yesterday. Brandon Graham, his old grandpa ass, still making plays. Nakobe Dean looking like the linebacker we thought we were drafting, right? Like, not superstar, maybe a couple Pro Bowls in it, if he keeps up this pace, right? But that's all you fucking need sometimes, right? Like, you don't need, a Hall of Fame linebacker. You need somebody that can make plays. And they got two of them, right? They got two guys that are holding it down. And they got some hitters in the back end. Gardner Johnson, he just, oh my God, right? But so they played like the number one defense yesterday, without a doubt, right? They shut New Orleans down. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And you're right. The sample size is still a little bit too small. You don't really know what you're working with until at least week 4.
You know where it's not
another
too
week.
Small? You know where it's not too small? It's not too small when you look at Dallas, though. They can't stop the run, and they can't run the ball. They have nobody to run the ball.
What do you mean they can't run the ball? Zeke had 6 rushing yards on 3 attempts yesterday. That's pretty effective for a running back his age. You didn't think that was impressive?
I think you could have got 6 yards.
Listen, we played them Thursday night. I'm excited.
I mean, Dak better get used to earning his money by throwing the ball 50 times a game because that's what they're going to do.
About
$1 million to throw per game. Crazy.
Well,
by
far be it for me to make excuses for the Dallas Cowboys, but in his defense, Baltimore was all over them real fast in a hurry. So they was trying to play catch up the whole game. But, and not for nothing, Dallas has the number 1 passing offense in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
He has thrown for 8. A lot of that happened yesterday because he threw for almost 400 yards yesterday, right? But 857 yards they've passed for so far this season in 2 losing efforts, right? Because they were so far behind, they're giving them all that underneath shit, and it really doesn't mean a whole lot, but Dak can still throw the ball. However, do you see what's going on with him and CeeDee Lamb?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. You see the interview?
It's not good.
Not good.
Not good.
Oh, it's for us.
The optics are terrible. Oh, it's good for us, for sure.
Yeah. Charles Dixon, on the other hand, he's having fits about what he's saying.
There's a couple people on the page having fits, man.
I know.
Couple people. You can't say anything to them without bringing, they want to bring up old shit.
Indeed.
I'll tell you what else surprises me is the New York Giants shocked me yesterday.
The New York Giants what?
Shocked me. I don't know if it's the Giants shocked me or the Cleveland Browns defense, which is supposed to be a top 5 defense, right? Coming into the league, coming into the season, they were supposed to be a top 5 defense. Is Myles Garrett hurt? Somebody hurt?
No. You know how many sacks they were able to amass yesterday? 2. Meanwhile, the Giants sacked Deshaun Watson 8 times. They gave him fits all day. But I think both are true. I think both are true, Mike. I think that the Giants have been extremely disappointing and overwhelmingly underwhelming to start the season. It was reminiscent of last year's opening game, 40 to nothing loss against the Dallas Cowboys. That first game of the season, the Giants still looked like they were in preseason mode. And the Minnesota Vikings, who we now are starting to believe are legit, right? Look like they were in regular season playoff push form.
Mhm.
They played well. And I'm talking about from the quarterback position to the coaching position, it was a shit show all around. What I have seen, I'm going to speak subjectively as a Giants fan. What I saw was nothing to hang my hat on week one. Not a fucking thing. Nothing.
Right, right.
It was almost so bad. It was one of those throw the game away things. However, you can't because there was so much hype coming into the season about some of the new player acquisitions through free agency and through the draft. Then there was also the departure of Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles and what they're doing with this new running game, new offensive line, new OC, not new OC, but Brian Dable now being the OC, new DC. There was just a lot. And everything from training camp pointed to they're going to look pretty good this year, only to look like dog shit to start the year. And then week two, and I'm talking even down to not having enough players dressed for the game. Week two, the offense turned the corner the way you wanted them to, but the defense was nowhere to be found. Week three, the defensive intensity matched the offensive intensity, and you saw more or less a complete game. The game still shouldn't have been that close. Part of it's because, excuse me, Gregory Joseph, who was signed last week, missed a field goal, would have made it a two-score game, and it wouldn't have felt like so much pressure to keep them from scoring near the end. The other part of it is the defense showed the fuck up. They did what you pay him to do. Oh, and then the turnovers. Devin Singletary has turned the ball over this week at a critical moment and last week in the same way. Those turnovers have to stop. But the way that the game started with Eric Gray fumbling the initial kickoff, and then Deshaun Watson hitting Amari Cooper, you just thought, oh, here we go. But they were able to not lose their cool, and they played a complete game as far as I'm concerned. So I was happy about that. So what I'm saying is the Giants have started this season, and this is one of my favorite descriptors these days. They started this season like an old Buick. It was sputtering and putting and all kinds of madness. But once it started warming up, it started to perform the way you want an old Buick to perform. It's drivable now, right? So at least the Giants look functional now. Daniel Jones, first of all, I won't say this yet. I will not say Malik Nabers is the best receiver in the league, but I'll be damned if he ain't top 10 right now. Everybody in this league knows who Malik Nabers is right now, because that man is a dog. Oh my God. So I'm excited about what's to come. We'll see what happens on Thursday night, but when you got a wounded dog like the Dallas Cowboys are, you pounce on them. Don't give them a break. And I think the Giants need to do that.
I mean, we'll see what happens, right? I'm not as sold on blue colored lenses at the moment, right? Like I
I'm not
think
either.
that
I don't think, listen, I think it's a very good chance that it's going to be another 42-12 victory for the Dallas Cowboys. I can clearly see that happening, particularly given the fact that the last 14 games, Dallas has won 13 of them. The last 14. The last time the
Yeah.
Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys, Andy Dalton was the quarterback.
Well, Andy Dalton's a quarterback again.
I know that. He took Bryce Young's spot, and he looking like Sam Darnold out there.
I mean, I feel bad for Bryce Young, right? Like, what do you give? What you give? 13, 14 games, 15 games? How many games did he start? Was he day one starter last year?
He was.
Did he get hurt?
He did not get hurt. He was unfortunately a product of what was his name, the coach that came out of college to coach the Panthers. Uh,
Urban
what
Meyer,
was his fucking name?
not Urban Meyer.
No, no,
Matt
no.
Rule.
Urban
Matt
Meyer was
Rule.
in Jacksonville.
Was it Matt Rule?
Matt Rule. Matt Rule ruined his first season.
Yeah.
He didn't prepare him properly. He didn't have good plays that were designed for a quarterback transitioning from the college football types of programs into the professional ranks. Because remember, Bryce Young was ranked high by a lot of teams. Like
Oh
he's a
yeah.
good talent coming out of college. And for him to experience the decline that he experienced, we all know how talented he is. That's coaching, bro.
Yeah.
That's coaching. I'm sorry. You can a bad coach can kill a player's career. It should be coaching malpractice, is what it should be. But Matt Rule is he bears a large responsibility for the not developing that young man. And not for nothing, he probably should have sat half of his first year before being thrown out to the Wolves. I honestly believe that most teams would be better served, would be serving their team and their fan base better by letting these high draft picks learn before they throw them out there. I believe that. And I know I'm in a minority on that, but I don't care.
I mean, we talked about that last week, man. Like, I think, and speaking of guests or whatnot, even though we're not really speaking on it, Chris could not make it tonight, which is a shame, because the Giants beat the Browns, and I really wanted to hear some insight out of Cleveland. But I guess we'll get another opportunity at that someday. Um, but you talked about it last week. You talked about how you know the thing with the Giants is like I'm not a believer. I still think they're a 4 or 5 win team, right? The Browns one threw me for a loop because I really didn't expect it. But Daniel Jones is like he's adequate, right? Like he's gonna have some games like he had yesterday. Some really phenomenal quick catches by Malik Neighbors. I'm not going to argue with that. Malik Neighbors is scary, right? Reminiscent of another LSU wide receiver that y'all used to have early in his career. That kind of caliber player, right? Like game changing. That end zone catch was fucking phenomenal, dude. Like
The
I
one in
thought
the
it was,
corner, yeah.
yeah, I thought it was CGI for a minute. I was like, that can't be real. Like, come on.
That wasn't the catch for me. The catch for me was on a sideline that could have easily been an interception where he jumped over dude, grabbed the ball, and brought it back in.
Yeah,
That was the one for me.
yeah.
But the most impressive thing he did yesterday that shows his football IQ and his commitment to be as effective as he can be on every play was when DJ was in the end zone throwing the ball. And it was a play that was designed for DJ to roll out right, but throw the ball left. And as DJ released the ball, he got hit, and the ball shot up in the air near Malik Neighbors. And there were two defenders there. One of them was going to intercept that ball. Malik Neighbors turned into a defender and knocked the ball down. That play right there, that showed me that Malik Neighbors is a rookie, 23 years old. He's playing as if he's been in the league 3 years already. This is his third game. It's unbelievable. Let me just give you a stat. Right now, he's number one in targets. He's number one in 20-yard plays, 20-yard plus plays. He's tied for first in touchdown receptions. He's number two in receptions. He's fifth in the NFL in total yards. He's on pace for 1,500 yards and 17 touchdowns in his first year as a rookie. It's pretty impressive, bro.
And he got me 27 points yesterday in fantasy.
And let me point one other thing out, brother. And he did it, as you alluded to earlier, against arguably what was supposed to be one of the best defenses in the National Football League, and the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm not trying to get too high on him, but it's hard not to, Mike. It's hard not to.
It's really hard not to get too high on him. I mean, and this dude's been in the league a little bit longer, right? But it's kind of like me getting really high on Saquon, right? Like, I don't.
Yo, Saquon went to the Philadelphia Eagles and it turned another gear, bro. The kid looks good. He's everything that you hoped he would be, and some.
The TV
In fact,
and the original
had it not been for
angle,
Saquon yesterday, I don't think the Eagles win that game.
No. Him and Goddard, Dallas Goddard's arrived, right? Like, I mean, I think he's always been there. I think he's always been underutilized, right? But the dude could play. He could
Wasn't
ball.
he like 10 for 130 yesterday or something?
10 for 170.
For 170?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's like video game numbers. That's not even normal, bro.
Yeah.
That's video game numbers.
10 for 170. Yeah. 170. And he probably could have scored when we talk about football IQ. Like, if he's a big boy, if he had decided at the 10, like, I'm going to run this last defender over, I think he carries him into the end zone.
But he made a business decision, didn't he?
He made a business decision. We got to run the clock out a little bit.
Yeah.
Only for Saquon to take it in the next play, but, still ran a little bit of time off the clock.
Saquon is number one in the league, and Philly overall is third in the league in rushing. And that's all Saquon. I mean, your quarterback still runs the ball like a freaking fullback.
Yeah.
But
your
running game is,
and he's got his legs back too. He needs to stop with the turnovers, right? Like, so the INT, some of the INTs he's thrown, like, dude, just get rid of the ball. Just get rid of the ball, right? Like, live. And he usually makes better decisions, right? But throwing off your back leg as you're rolling out, as you're getting hit or about to get hit, you can't get the zip on the ball, right? Like, you can't put it where you want to. And the one that he got shoestring tackled, he usually doesn't carry the ball out like that when he's in tight around dudes. So, I mean, he's got some shit to clean up, but overall, like, I'm feeling pretty good about his play at quarterback. I'll take the turnovers.
You have to. And see, there's a difference. Right now, since 2023, Jalen Hurts leads the league in turnovers. He's got 26. This year, he's got 6, right? However, he is still not a liability because he may give you 26 turnovers, but he will help his team get 70 touchdowns and a winning record into the playoffs. And because of that, you get mad at the turnovers, but at the same time, you understand he might give you a couple of those, but he's also going to lead you on that last minute drive to win the game. And he's going to do it in a fashion that makes you just bring all the testosterone up out of you. Yeah. Right? And that's what he has had the ability to do. But at some point, that's going to run out, and you want to see the decision making improve.
It's gotta improve, right? And like, I saw a crazy stat, like, with AJ Brown in the lineup versus not in the lineup, like, his turnovers go way down. His QB rating goes way up. Their wins go way up.
What's going on with AJ Brown?
Hamstring.
How's
You know,
Devontae after that?
I've been trying to
This
find
was
out,
it.
dude. Let's talk about that. I think it was dirty, but I'm also a Philly fan. Like, I think there was no need for that dude to lay that hit on. He was already going backwards for about 6 yards. Like, they stopped him and they were already pushing him backwards for 6 yards. There was at least two other dudes on him, and he was going to the ground. And then pop from the back.
I didn't think it was a dirty hit. I thought I don't know what that player's name that dived next to him after when he was laying on the ground without a helmet.
Yeah.
I don't even think that guy like intentionally tried to spit. He definitely spit. I don't think he was like, I'm gonna spit on this fucking guy. I don't think that's what happened.
I
But
hope not.
no, I don't think that was who did that. I watched a player do that. He hawk spit on in Sherman, what's his name?
Richard Sherman?
Um Richard Sherman's face. Remember that?
Yeah.
That defender right in his face. Oh, that was horrible, man. I don't remember who it was, but that was horrible.
Bill
So I don't think he
Romanowski did it
did
one time.
that. So here's what I think. I think that player could have exercised more restraint in like he's coming down anyway,
Yeah.
but you teach your players to play through the whistle, and I think that's what he was doing. I
Yeah.
don't think he intended to like injure the dude. I think he meant to hit him. You're gonna feel this, but not to like I'm gonna knock him out of the game. But at the same time, I do understand where your perspective is, why you feel that way. Because I would have probably been like, motherfucker, right? I'd have probably felt that way too. But I don't think it crosses the threshold for me of being dirty, though.
Right.
I just think it was unnecessary.
Oh,
That's
super
just,
unnecessary. It was
yeah,
unnecessary.
yeah,
It didn't need to happen, but it did. Right. So the reality is, pretty sure he's got a concussion. Uh, it looked like he bounced back pretty quick after he came out of the tent, right? But they still weren't going to put him back in the game. His helmet came off, dude. Like,
yeah.
that's no, you can't go back in the game.
I don't think he had a Tua moment.
No, no, no. I think he felt it.
Yeah,
I
he
think he
felt it. He's
felt
a
it.
little light in the ass, but he's a really good player. And above that, he's a really good human, man.
Yeah.
Just a like, I don't know how you can't like the guy himself.
I wish there was a show, and there's probably a couple players out there that I would like this to happen to, right? But like Devonte Smith mic'd up is some of the best television I've ever seen in my life, right? Like he is just a simple, humble dude that says some of the funniest shit I've ever heard. Like the game
Mm.
that they played that it was rainy and cold, like, and he's like, I got like three hats on. I can't get warm, man. Like, bring me another hat. Like, god damn, it's cold up here, right? Like he's just funny.
Mm.
So I would love to see that all the time. Here's
Right.
another
I
one.
didn't see that one.
You know, I love mic'd up when they got the right guy mic'd up.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah,
But
no doubt.
hopefully he's back soon. So maybe the bye week in week 5 isn't such a bad thing after all.
Mm.
You know, they go to Tampa Bay next week.
Football gods knew what they were doing, huh?
Tampa Bay next week. I mean, they took some hits on the line, but I'll tell you this too. The backups, the second string on the right side of the line, they held their own yesterday against a pretty stout New Orleans defense, right? New Orleans has a good defense. And Lane Johnson went out and Micah Becton went out. So they brought in two dudes that are the second team on that side of the ball. And they were balling, man. They were, I mean, yeah, Jason Kelsey's gone, but like the center Cam Jurgens, he's good too. They're just making plays. They're just moving people.
Mm-hmm.
That whole Saquon ran through, and as soon as the original angle of the camera did it no justice because I was like, oh man, Saquon might get caught. But when you look at it from the other angle, he's pulling away the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
the entire time. Like he's got that speed back, and it looks
Yeah.
good.
He's that dude where you just keep feeding him, and he's
You
gonna
have
pop
to.
one. He may pop two.
He might pop two. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you get him coming out, if you get him in the passing game too, he's liable to pop one there.
I think they said he reached 21 miles an hour or something like
Something
that.
like that.
Next gen stats.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you did you happen to catch the one, not the 61-yard reception Goddard had, but the other one where he reached out with his palm and just one-handed it in
I
stride?
did not.
Yeah.
No.
It was a thing of beauty, you know,
Nice.
just beauty. And if you can get him coming across the seam and AJ Brown coming across the seam, they're in trouble.
Well, Dallas Goddard's been good since you guys acquired him.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he's just a really good athlete. I remember when you guys drafted him. That was
he's
like 3 years ago, was it?
yeah, he's just 4 years ago, I think, but he's the fourth option. He's
Mm-hmm.
the fourth option, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when they're healthy, it's AJ Brown. I say Saquon's the second option if they're not running the ball. You got Smith and then Goddard, right? So he's number four on the option read list.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And they're not, they're still learning this offense.
Mm-hmm.
You see it
Yeah,
at spurts.
how
They're
do you
just not
like
getting hit.
what's his name? Kellen?
I like them so far. You know what I don't like? I don't like Sirianni. I'm over him. I'm over him. They win despite him. The one thing I'll
Yeah.
give him is he owns everything, right? Everything that goes wrong is on me, right? Well, that runs thin though after a point in time. It runs thin. You can't continuously put this talent in a position not to be successful, right? You just can't do that. You can't put them in predicaments where they got to pull out the game on the final drive. There's no need for that. Put the points on the board when you get them. I know but he hears the whispers. Like he pays too much attention to the noise, right? Like Nick Sirianni's gambling. They go for it on fourth down all the time. Analytics says this. Well, sometimes you got Jake Elliott. You pay him $4, $5, $6 million a year to kick the ball. Let him kick the fucking ball.
And he's a good kicker.
And he's a good kicker. Let him
Mm-hmm.
get, no, you trot him out there for a 60-yarder? Stop. Stop. Now you're going to
Yeah.
kick the ball?
Well, you know what? I'm no fan of Sirianni, and I've made that publicly known. Um, but he's got you guys to the playoffs, first time in your franchise history, the first 3 seasons. First coach to ever do that. First 3 seasons, he's been a head coach.
Yeah.
There's something about that. Now that may be like you said, in spite of him, right? It may be. And I would dare say it is because some of the shit that he says and does is not head coach-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's fan-ish. It's some fanboy shit. You the head coach, dude. What the fuck? Man?
The fuck are you doing?
So I don't know. I don't think that he has displayed the acumen to be to put forth the objectivity that it takes to be consistent and win. Like you said, kick the field goal, bro. Why are you throwing the ball when a running play? And here's where you said analytics says this, but no, you got Saquon motherfucking Barkley in a fabulous offensive line. Why aren't you pounding the fucking rock? They've already shown you they can't stop you. Run the ball. I don't understand it. It's reminiscent of Russell Wilson throwing a pass in the Super Bowl when you got beast mode. Run the fucking ball. I don't get it.
And like I understand Pete Carroll when he said we made the right play call. I understand Nick Sirianni when Saquon dropped the ball. I like if he catches the ball it's a touchdown, right? Saquon was going to run in, dude. He's going to dive from the 7, and that's ball game, right? If he
Or
catches
just
the
get the
ball.
first down and sit down, run out the clock.
Without a doubt, he gets the first down. With Pete Carroll, that dude Malcolm Butler made a hell of a jump on that fucking
He
ball.
did. He did. That
I
was
mean,
effort.
you can't predict that.
Nope.
And I
You
dare
can't.
I say 90% of the time it's a completion, right? Like, so, but let's go back to what you just said. You have beast mode, you have Saquon, you're going to get 4 yards a clip. That dude is going to run through brick walls and get a touchdown, right? Like, that's what's going to happen, right? Like, that's the kind of mentality they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, I just don't get it sometimes, right? But let's get back to some surprises. Any other games surprise you?
Um, you know what? I had a bunch of things that I was looking to bring up, talk about, and I didn't.
Yeah. Let's talk Broncos then.
Cartwright's in office.
Why
He's helping.
is okay. Um, I think what was surprising, but not surprising, also was Pittsburgh winning over the Chargers. I think Justin Fields is doing a good job of managing games. I'm just going to run through my quick ones real quick. I did not see Minnesota trouncing Houston the way that they did, because I think Houston has a pretty good defense, right? And Denver taking it to Tampa Bay. And I would dare say you probably have that game circled on your calendar from last year. But I don't know for sure. Seattle beating the shit out of Miami does not surprise me. But I was taken aback by the gingerbread man just clapping Vegas cheeks the way he did yesterday. I did not see that coming. I mean, I could have seen them winning, not like that. Not with the performance
I
they
don't
put
want
on
to
the field
be
so
I don't
far.
want to be a Las Vegas Raider this week, right? Like, I think Antonio Pierce would scare me as a head coach that publicly stated that too many players made business decisions, not in a good way, like
I
not for the
know.
good of the team, you know, like not that's not that's not good, right? Like, it's terrible. And is Bryce Young that fucking bad that Andy Dalton comes in and lights them up for 319 yards and 3 tutties? I'm shocked at that, right? Shocked. Seattle, that was in Seattle, so that doesn't shock me either, right? Like, they don't have Tua, right? For everything all that we've talked about Tua, when he's playing, he can ball, right? Like, he can ball. So, that wasn't a shock. The Rams beating the Niners, even with the Niners being decimated by some injuries, right? They have legit backups, right? And they still, where's Brandon Ayuk? This dude
He's
held
injured.
out. Is he hurt? No, he's
I
not.
think he's hurt. Yeah. I
I don't
read
think he's
something
hurt.
about that. Or maybe
I
he's
don't think
holding out. I read something about it. I forget what it was now.
he already held out. uh 10 targets, 5 catches, 48 yards. Like, your number one receiver and your number one running back are gone. Like, that's what they paid you for. They didn't pay you for 5 receptions out of 10 targets.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Where are you, Brandon?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. I don't know. I haven't followed them enough to speak intelligently on them, to be honest with you.
I don't really follow them either. I know we got a couple Niner fans in the group. So, but I don't follow them. like that. All I know is, they have Jawan Jennings looked like a superstar, apparently. You know, but Matthew Stafford did Matthew Stafford things late in the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Stafford. Oh my God, the Bills just taking it to Jacksonville. Sheesh. But
Is it
Matthew
ugly? Is it
Stafford, he's
ugly?
a good quarterback. Like he shows why they gave so much to get him, from Detroit. I mean, that same year they went out and won the Super Bowl that they got him. It's almost like it was scripted, right?
Yeah.
And last year they were not supposed to be a playoff bound team. And somehow they made it to the playoffs last year. That Hawaiian kid, I forget his name, but oh my God, did he have a season? Or Polynesian? What is he?
What? Puka Nakua?
Yeah,
He's hurt.
I know. I'm talking about last year. I'm
Yeah.
saying it doesn't surprise me that the Rams can turn it on with some of the players that they've had. It doesn't surprise me. Now, and also, I think that teams are just starting to figure out the 49ers, and I'm not mad about that.
Oh,
I
I'm not
care
mad
nothing
about it
about
either.
them.
I'm not mad about it whatsoever.
Yeah. I think the one that surprised me probably the most um, is probably Carolina. And not just Carolina. I didn't see Big Nick's energy in Tampa taking Tampa apart that way. I didn't see that happening. I thought that would be far less of an offensive production for Denver. And like, how does Baker go from looking like, yo, okay, Baker, to what the fuck's happening here? I don't
I mean,
know.
he's Baker.
He's Baker.
You know what I mean?
Baker's bacon.
He's good for that. But I mean, it was 4 field goals, and they only gave up 1 touchdown. That's
Bo Nix had
impressive.
a rushing, Jaleel McLaughlin. And Baker Mayfield. Yeah, he looking like Baker. 25 of 33, 163 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. And I wanted to see how much defensive pressure was on him because with numbers like that, yeah, they got to him. He got sacked 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. He got sacked 8 times.
Ooh.
So they just came with heavy pressure on him. Tillman was just like all over him. So yeah, listen, defense will change the whole trajectory of a game. If you got the right line, the right front, the right scheme, you can change some things up.
Yeah.
Look at Washington hanging in there with Cincy right now, 7-up. Cincy just missed the field goal. Buffalo's I don't even know if they need to play the second half. Jacksonville is,
They
I
might
think,
have a
paid
mercy.
that man. And this is what really?
He's not that good.
He was great in college.
He was great in college. We've seen a lot of great quarterbacks in college not pan out in the NFL, right? And for me to say that he's not that good is probably a little harsh, right? Like he's a franchise quarterback, right? They'll get some other people around him, but I don't see Jacksonville being a powerhouse ever, right? I see them being an Andy Dalton led Bengals. That's what I see Jacksonville as. I see Jacksonville as a Trevor Lawrence led football team that's going to win some games, but they're not going to make long runs, And Buffalo, I mean, I don't think I could have been any more wrong about preseason saying they're going to take a step back. Now obviously you don't see the Tua injury coming. Well, maybe you did. I think the Jets are still a question mark. I think that they have some promise, but Buffalo, that's their division to lose. And when you got Josh Allen throwing for 200 yards in the first half and 3 touchdowns,
9 different receivers.
I mean, he's just getting the ball all over the place.
He just playing with them like you play with a cat with a laser light.
Like he is an athletic Big Ben, right? 260, can run, and is not afraid to run you over. And you can't get him down.
Yeah.
He's good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at
and he can run the ball, like you said. He's good. Now he's one of those he'll turn the ball over 2 times in the most head scratching ways, but he's gonna throw for 3 and run for 1 too.
I'm pretty certain that Josh Allen's had a 5-pick game in his career.
I've watched Josh Allen throw the most stupidest interceptions in the red zone repeatedly. Like, what are you doing? But then he'll turn around and throw 4 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
So you can
do that.
You can do that, but you there's a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Anyway, what are you thinking for next week?
Let's highlight a couple games. We don't need to run through the whole thing. Well, maybe we don't need to talk about them. We'll save Thursday for last, right? Because I think that's a big talking point. New Orleans, Atlanta. I mean, I think Atlanta wins that game.
I think they do too. I think
got
Atlanta wins that game.
Yeah. You got LA going to Chicago. I think LA wins that game.
I think that I want to see Caleb Williams look like the prospect that he was, but
he's not going to behind that line.
That the Bears are going to win more than 5 games this year, if I'm being honest.
Their offensive line is garbage. Garbage.
Yeah. I'm going Rams on that one too.
Might be the worst. Vikings at Green Bay.
That's going to actually be a pretty good game.
Let's come back.
But I think I'm going to go with Green Bay because they're in Green Bay.
I'm going to agree with you. Just give them a nod. It's just looking at the odds, the line, it's a Minnesota line, So it's basically a pick, but I'm going to give Green Bay at home.
Only because they're home.
Yep. But both teams look really good, right?
They do.
They look good.
And Green Bay's defense has really looked good this year. So,
and I would not have, when I looked at the Eagles' schedule to start the season, Green Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, right? I figured 2-2. Green Bay and maybe Tampa. I think they got a good shot at being 3-1. I think they go into Tampa with a chip on their shoulder from the way they looked in the playoffs last year. But we'll talk about that in a second. I got Green Bay. Pittsburgh at Indy.
See, this is actually going to be a good game, right?
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to go. I think Justin Fields found new life.
I think the Steelers start 4-0, and they would have to work really fucking hard not to get to 500 for the 20th fucking straight season or whatever it is, right? Like, it's amazing to me. Like, I thought this was the year. I was like, oh man, Pittsburgh, it's going to come to an end, right? No, it's not. It's not coming to an end.
You know what Pittsburgh has that no other team does? Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin and a defense.
I'm just saying.
Mike Tomlin.
You got to look at the common denominator. When you've been coaching for 16 years
Yeah.
and you've never had a losing season and you've had a rotation of players on the offensive side and defensive side of the bowl, and all you do is win, you got to look at what's the common denominator, Mike Tomlin.
I think they're the second best team in that division right now. They might have a better record than Baltimore, but I still think Baltimore's a better football team.
That Baltimore is better. Yeah.
So Denver at the Jets. I'm going Jets.
You have to go with Jets. You know when I'm going to start not picking the Jets? Week 8, week 9. As the season progresses and Aaron Rodgers' 40-year-old body starts feeling shit that makes him feel uncomfortable, then they won't get the edge. But I don't have Big Nick's energy, so I'm going Jets.
The line is a touchdown. So that tells you something. I'll skip Philly and Tampa. Cincy, the Bengals at Carolina. It's week 4. I'm going Bengals.
I'm still going Bengals. Yeah. That's when Joe Burrow gets hot.
That's when they start their 9-game run.
Yeah.
Jacksonville at Houston. If CJ Stroud didn't look like he was gonna cry during the game, like he looked broken on the sideline. So I hope he fixes that, but I'm still gonna go Houston.
Is that even a question?
No.
Houston all day, baby.
Game of the week. Washington at Arizona.
I might actually take Washington on this one.
I'm going to go Arizona. Yeah. New England at San Fran.
San Fran. San Fran.
Cleveland at Vegas.
I think Cleveland bounces back and wins this game.
I think I'm going Vegas.
You think the player's going to?
I think they get a come to Jesus moment with their coach, and if they don't win, God bless them the rest of the season. Kansas City at the Chargers. Kansas City, come on, Kansas City.
Kansas City, and listen, I ain't a Kansas City fan, but Justin Herbert can't seem to win games, and I think he's out again.
Yeah, he's hurt. So he's got his ankle's tweaked right now.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs.
Buffalo at Baltimore.
So that's going to be a really good game, and it's what is that, Monday night?
No, that's Sunday night.
That's Sunday night.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think Baltimore takes this game. I do. I mean, I think the Buffalo Bills could absolutely win this game, but I'm going to get the edge to Baltimore. I think Baltimore's just a better team. They got a Derrick Henry, and the Bills don't. They got James Cook, right?
Yeah, but they got I'm going to go Buffalo 38-35.
That's going to be a good game then.
It's going to be a tremendous game. Sunday Night Football, yeah. 38-35. The Titans at the Dolphins.
I think the Titans get their first win.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. Seattle at Detroit.
I'm taking Detroit in this one. They're due.
Yeah, I'm going Detroit. So let's go back. Philly at Tampa.
I think Saquon Barkley's going to have a day again. I think that some of the issues that Philadelphia has experienced, Jalen Hurts in particular, he's going to straighten that out and stop turning the ball over. And I think that the Eagles, because this is by and large, it depends on who you got on the field to catch the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
Is A.J. Brown playing? Is
Don't know.
Devontae Smith playing?
Don't know.
So if you got one of the two, I think it's easy for me to pick the Eagles. Easy, right? Dallas Goedert's going to do what Dallas Goedert does. Saquon's going to be Saquoning out there. But what do you got beyond that? In terms of pass catchers.
You got some people that need to step the fuck up, right? Let's just go
Okay.
worst case scenario. Let's go, okay, because Britton Covey's out too. The punt returner who's like the fourth string wide receiver, he's out. So you got Jahan Dotson, you got Paris Campbell, and you got Gainwell out of the backfield that can line up in a slot. So one of those dudes needs to shine. And I'm willing to bet that one of them will. Right? Like I'm willing to bet that. Aside from that, I think that this defense was embarrassed last year in the playoffs. And I think they keep receipts. You know? And apparently, if you light a little fire on their ass, they can perform. They need to sustain that, right? Like they played an all around excellent defensive game. You know, so I'm going Philly. It's another tight one.
The only reason I'm not going Philly is because if you had this could change though. If Devontae Smith is playing or AJ Brown is playing, I'm going Philly. If they're not, if you don't have one of the two of those players, I'm going Tampa.
Well, here's another thing. Both offensive linemen. I think Lane Johnson was sick. That's what they were saying. Like he was just ill, right? So he should be back. I don't know what happened to Micah Becton, but I feel pretty okay with their backups. Again, I'll say it again. They performed against a pretty good defense, right?
Yeah.
But Slade tweaked his ankle on that late hit out of bounds as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see how good the rookie is, and we're gonna see how good a second year player is.
Right.
So we're gonna find out because you're going against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So it's two legitimate wide receivers.
Oh my God. It's 34-3 in Buffalo now. Second quarter. Josh Allen should not get back on the field. Anyway.
What happened? He's got 4 tutties. Jesus. He's thrown for 250 for 4 touchdowns in a half.
Don't even put him back out there.
In a half.
Giants.
And Cowboys. He's thrown touchdown passes to 4 different people.
I'm telling you, it's like playing with a laser light with a kitten. That's what they're doing.
What was that game? South Alabama. They put the mercy rule in the fourth quarter. They played a 6-minute fourth quarter in college. This legitimately happened. They won like 70-3 or some shit like that. The coaches decided we're going to go mercy rule, which apparently exists in fucking college football. And it was a 6-minute fourth quarter.
See, how do advertisers allow that to happen, though? Because I know they have influence on that, don't they?
I'm pretty sure South Alabama's not on TV.
Gotcha.
You know, they might need to be now. Putting up 70 points a game. But he has thrown
enough.
He's thrown to 10 different players. He's completed to 9 of those 10.
Yeah. This game is over a long time ago. It was over at the coin toss. But as a formality, they have to play.
So just in comparison, Trevor Lawrence, who we've discussed a little bit, 10 for 22 for 59 yards and an interception and sacked once.
Hall of Fame numbers.
Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. Let's put that on the agenda next week. Talk about these first round ballot people. Because it looks a little ridiculous. But we got to finish up. New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys coming to MetLife Thursday night. Are you going?
No, I sold almost every ticket to all my games this year.
Okay.
I think that those who are looking at this game through blue lenses are setting themselves up for a tragic emotional experience. I think there's a lot to be excited about a couple of people, a couple of players, a couple of moments, but it's not enough to suggest that the Giants can handle the. Listen, the Cowboys are better than their 1-2 record suggests. They just are. And they haven't played well. And this can be their get-right game. 13 out of the last 14 contests between these two teams, the Cowboys have won. Until the Giants show me that until they beat them, like last year, the Giants beat Philly, right? That was great. So I would have more confidence in saying there's a chance we can beat Philly than I will with Dallas because we have not beaten them. So I'll give a shit how well they played last week, how good their offense looked the week before that, even without a kicker. I'm going to have to go Dallas, and by 2 touchdowns.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. As much as I want to disagree with you so bad, right? Because Dallas cannot run the ball. They can't run the ball. And they can't stop the run. They should be 1-2.
Dallas has the league's worst run defense, and they have the 29th rushing offense. They're just bad against the run and doing the run.
That's just not good. But they're playing the Giants.
If there's any time the Giants should beat them, it's now. But knowing the Giants, they won't. I can't pick them until they give me a reason to believe they can. And not because there's something deficient with the other team, but because the Giants have shown me enough to believe that they can. And they have not done that yet.
Yeah. I think this is one of those bad Thursday night games. I really do. I think Dallas scores a lot of fucking points.
I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised, though. And I'm going to root for them to win. I'm going to have all my Giants shit like I do now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to root for them to win.
I'm not rooting for either team, right? Like, I think I've described.
You're rooting for a tie.
I've never been that guy, right? Like, there are other guys and ladies in the group that will like to ride the bandwagon of the other team. I will never be that guy, right? I want to see the Bane blowing up Gotham Stadium from Batman. That's what I want to see. I want to see the field blow up and everybody die. That's maybe not die. Maybe that's a little harsh, right? But like, I don't really care who wins. I'll be happier if the Giants win, because then we get a full dose of Atticus at his finest on the Trash Talk page, and I get to see a lot of grown men get their feelings hurt. Right? Like, I mean, that's it's just fun. It's just good. It's just good comedy for me. I just don't see it coming. And so now I need to prepare myself for all these fanboys to come out. Jeremy Warren, I'm talking to you. I got to see all these guys coming out and talking some shit about beating what I perceive to be a really not good New York Giant football team.
Jeremy Warren's been missing for a week now. We're wrapping up.
Yeah.
He's been missing for a week.
Yeah.
But here's the thing to keep in mind also. The New York Giants, in their last two meetings against Dallas, you ready for it? Their last meeting, they lost 49-17. The meeting before that, 40-0. How could I possibly pick the Giants?
You can't.
I can't.
You can't.
As much as I want to, I cannot.
Mm.
Now, the pundits, the predictors or whatever, they're saying Dallas is going to win by 4. I think Vegas has them by 4, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to lose by 4 to them. Don't get me wrong. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. That's an improvement over where we've been. I don't want to lose. But if I'm going to lose, let me lose by 4 and not by 32 points.
Yeah.
Or 40 points. It's just ridiculous at this point. So that's it, man. We'll see what happens.
It's another one in the books.
Another one in the books.
Fuck your team.
Hopefully, the Bengals and Joe Burrow will turn this thing around and beat these Washington Commanders and put them in their rightful spot in 3rd or 4th in the division. And we'll see what happens.
I think they will.
You think they're going to beat the Bengals?
No, I think the Bengals are going to win.
Oh, okay. I hope they pull it off too.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right, my man. Peace.
Talk to you later. Have a
Later.
good night.
You too.
All right, peace.
Bye.